set it up, and when you're ready.
All right. Hi, guys. This is our North Carolina Senate race presentation.
My name is Rafael Amon, and who just introduced the slide is Nick C.
Okay. So, who is running? So, the Democratic candidate for Senate is Cal Cunningham. He was born in Lexington, North Carolina. He was involved in politics in his late 20s, and he was also a former senator of North Carolina. And he really focused on the environment, the economy, better working conditions, and improving social life. He also volunteered in the U.S. Army Reserve after 9/11, and currently is a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve.
The Republican candidate is Thom Tillis, and he's actually running for re-election. Um, he has been the senator for North Carolina since 2015. He was born on August 30th, 1960 in North Carolina, and he lives in Huntersville, North Carolina currently. He's serving on 4 committees in North Carolina, and earlier in his life, he was born into a working class family. So he worked a minimum wage job while attending college at night and providing for his family. He earned his degree at 36 and became a top level executive at PricewaterhouseCoopers and IBM.
Next is the state population demographics. So the current population of North Carolina is 10,488,084 people. And on the picture on your right shows the occupations that are very prominent in North Carolina. And the top four occupations are administrative, sales, management, and production. And those tend to have a more Republican slash conservative influence. And in the middle picture shows the detailed age and sex. So we can see that they're relatively even, but there are more millennials than they are baby boomers. And there could be also a slight higher population of women. And in the last picture on the left shows the race and ethnicity. And there's a staggering white majority with a black leading the minority population.
So for the demographic of registered voters, the Democrats actually take the lead with a 39%. Right behind them, a close second, are registered voters, but they are unaffiliated. And then behind the unaffiliated voters are the Republican registered voters.
So I will talk about the politics behind Cal Cunningham's campaign. And the 6 points he really focuses on his campaign is healthcare, economy, education, climate, human rights, and immigration. And the first part is healthcare. So, in the recent news, you've seen the Republicans try to shut down Obamacare and kind of lessen Medicare to struggling families. So, his goal in the Senate and in his campaign is to expand Obamacare. So, keep it in the Senate, keep it in the country, and expand Medicare to struggling families and people with pre-existing conditions. And with that, he also wants to improve hospital systems. So like how hospitals run more PPE, which is personal protective equipment, nurses, doctors, make hospitals more efficient for people. And he also wants to increase the research to find a cure to life-threatening diseases, so like cancer, AIDS, HIV, and also wants to lower drug costs because drug costs are actually really high, and people who have less income cannot afford the drugs they need. So then onto the economy. So he wants to raise the minimum wage for people. He wants to end racial discrimination in the economy. So people denying jobs because of their race and color. And growth in technology. He really is a progressive in that sort of sense because he wants to grow technology and progress the nation with technology and integrate it into the economy. For the agricultural economy, he wants to limit the reckless tariffs the Republicans put on farmers. So he's going to lessen that and on the tariffs on imports and exports on farmers. And also, he wants to make jobs better and close the wage gap between men and women. And then for education, he wants public education for all people, everyone He wants everyone to be educated as equals. He wants to pay educators the money they deserve. Some schools uh, may pay teachers lower than others, and that may lead into less like a very bad way of teaching kids. So by giving the money to teachers will lead to better education for kids. And also, he wants to provide schools with necessary resources, so like counselors, nurses, janitors, anything to keep campus and their people safe. And he also wants to lower the cost of college so people after school can go to college, and also reduce student loan debt. And then for the climate, he wants a clean air economy. He really cares about the climate. He wants to expand solar energy. This is one thing he really is big on because of North Carolina. He wants to expand the solar energy, and instituting that into the nation may lead to a more efficient climate. And protecting the environment and natural resources, so limit spills, limit destruction of parks, all that great stuff. And then for human rights, he supports the LGBTQ community. He wants to expand the voting rights for people to get their voice heard, and also defend women's rights, especially in abortion, which is pro choice. And for immigration, he does not want to separate the families that are being separated at the border. He really focusing on increased border security, and in a way that he can institute his technology approach and training to make border security better and stronger.
So the politics for Thom Tillis, for healthcare, he wants to focus on combating the opioid addiction crisis in North Carolina, and he wants to also protect healthcare for Americans with pre-existing conditions, as it's very difficult for them to get healthcare. He wants to expand the research on diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and many others. And he also supports healthcare for children and reinstated CHIP. For the economy, he supports tax cuts in North Carolina, and he wants to cut back on rules that make it difficult for employers and job creators to implement themselves into the economy. And so that way, he wants to also make the economy more competitive to make it so that more job creators can show up in the economy and create more jobs in North Carolina and the United States. For the education, he wants to expand the opportunities in colleges for low income and underrepresented students, which also includes minorities. And he also wants to improve school safety and provide more control to parents and teachers, whether it's in college, high schools, or elementary or middle schools. For the climate, he promotes clean and renewable energy and wants to expand research and development on it. And he also focuses a lot on protecting U.S.'s national parks. For human rights, Thom Tillis actually focuses on foreign human rights and wants to help places like Iran advance their human rights, and also wants to defend LGBTQ rights in Chechnya, Russia. For immigration, Thom Tillis wants to make borders more secure and prevent illegal immigration, but he does want to protect dreamers legally, and he wants to prevent the separation of families at the borders.
Okay. So there was some recent news regarding the North Carolina Senate race, and this was a really big news report that was on the news. And this is regarding the Democratic candidate Cal Cunningham, who has been caught in a sex scandal in which he was cheating on his wife. And as you can see on the left, those are the exact messages he's been sending to an anonymous woman. And this is a really big blow to the race because this could really damage his reputation and his campaign. And also, Tom Tillis was also diagnosed with COVID-19. So this is a really huge race, and this can really go down to the wire on election day.
For polls and experts, most polls turn to a Cunningham win, a Democratic win. Um, But recent news about Cal Cunningham's sex scandal might change the outcome, according to experts. After the reveal of his first exchange in text with the woman, and after Cal's public apology, there's only like a small blip in the polls that showed up over the weekend. But if anything else surfaces about this situation with the woman, like any text, conversation, photos, calls, that may sway the election a bit more because it may make voters wonder if Cal Cunningham is really being truthful about what he says. And for our research predictions, um, we think that though there is a higher percent of registered Dems, the unaffiliated voters who are registered are very, very close to the amount of registered Dems. And as we have seen in previous senatorial and presidential elections, a lot of the unaffiliated voters tend to go to the Republican side. And so I think that that will probably mean that Thom Tillis will end up with the majority vote. And also, if anything else continues to resurface from the sex scandal, that may also play into Thom win.
Uh, so this is our works cited page. Um, as you can see, there's one website which is pretty cool for you guys to use if you guys want to use it. Is called projects.538.com, and it's a way you can do like a mock election in any race in any state, or also the presidential election. So this was our presentation. Thanks guys for listening, and see you guys soon.